So Mwamba is an ASGM development business that works with miners to improve the safety and productivity of their operations. I think, there's two components to, addressing the challenges in ASM. It's what's preventing them from accessing the tools and services they need, and then what do those tools and services look like. And I think the access problem really hinges on the low level of formalization that exists in the sector. It's existed for centuries, but it's only recently been formalized in many countries. Mwamba operates in Tanzania, which is one of the countries that have done well to regulate the sector in recent years. But there's still a big gap between the level of formalization that exists in many of these operations and the level of formalization required for the private sector to get involved and help artisanal and small-scale gold miners develop. So that is essentially the main challenge. So you see banks, funders, development partners a little slow to show up and help provide these miners with the tools, equipment, and expertise they need to adopt more sustainable and productive practices. So what Mwamba has done is adopt a continuous improvement approach. We meet miners on the minimum criteria and then work with them to improve their operations, the types of technologies that they use. So essentially, anything changeable, we work with them to address. And I think focusing on the kinds of help that they need, what do those tools and equipment that lack look like? I think two areas to focus on is exploration. So an ability to use subsurface data to identify good projects at the outset, make appropriate investments. And the second would be mercury. They rely on mercury to extract gold from ore, which is extremely inefficient as well as toxic. It captures maybe 30% of the gold available, and it poisons laborers, the environment. It's probably the biggest antagonist in the ASGM narrative. So our business provides miners with access to technologies across the full mining workflow. So when it comes to finding gold, we use drilling to help partner miners identify the best projects to pursue. When you're mining a project, we provide access to industrial underground mining equipment to increase the amount of ore they're able to pull out of the ground. And then when it comes to processing, we build centralized mercury-free CIP facilities where we process the ore material of partner ASGMs, help them get around 90% of the gold out, and to do so very quickly, efficiently. So African countries are trying to emphasize sustainability, and I think they've done well to take the first step and start regulating the sector so that you can recognize actors that adopt best practices and reward them with further investment and scaling opportunities. So Mwamba's role in that is we empower regulation by providing an incentive for compliance. So if you do not use child labor, if you aren't using mercury, if you're observing responsible labor practices, then you're eligible for partnership, eligible for further investment and scale. So I think my key message is there's two main stakeholders that I hope walk away. I think I want governments to know they're taking the right steps to enable businesses like mine to take root, to partner with ASGMs, provide them the capital, the expertise they currently lack. And then for the private sector, for established large-scale miners, for refiners, I think I want to send a message that it's not just the responsible step to take to help small-scale miners. It's not just a de-risking play for their existing businesses. It is a very productive value creation opportunity. Large-scale miners currently neglect lands with the artisanal mining communities. They overlook a significant share of the amount of mineral wealth that's on the table because they haven't adopted a collaboration mindset. So if they can work with small-scale miners, they're increasing the amount of addressable opportunities on the table. And with a healthy collaboration, you can create a world where every resource is developed to its maximum potential. And before making that assessment, you're not dividing land into for large-scale mining, for small-scale mining. So I really think a lot of the dialogue is currently around achieving a social license to operate, and it neglects to recognize that by getting involved with the small-scale sector, the mining sector has a massive opportunity to grow in size and actually become a center for social impact. The fact that 95% of the world's mining population works in ASM and only produces 20% of the world's gold is a very key proof point to the kind of opportunity we're looking at. If you give that 95% the access to the same industrial technologies and tools that the 5% of LSMs currently enjoy, you could multiply the sector of the mining industry and in the process empower marginalized rural communities across Africa, most in need of a livelihood support